Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the angelic realm. As I sit here to proceed with my day, as today's the last day that I'm in this rental unit, but I'll be back to make my content and recharge my energy body as needed, as it's been quite a few hectic days at home with the kids, with a rejecting husband, and now with the overall dooming concept of the rejection field that I face with other members of my family and friends, as well as society as a whole. And as you awaken to your energy field, just know that you will be walking down the same cobblestone roads that I've faced through and through. And it is crucially important for you to set boundaries for yourself as to the destination that you are headed to, not only within the destination that you're headed to, but as to what type of energy you must allow into your field within any moment in time within this ascension process, as not everybody will be able to see your perspective from where you've ascended towards, through, and onto, and within this reality field. As everybody sits within their own distortional field, within their own reality field, and the distortional field that they sit in isn't necessarily that of truths. The distortional field that you sit in within any moment in time also may not be a distortional field of truths, but all we can go off of within any moment in time is that of the aspect of the hope, of the faith that we have in our heart chakra, that all of this is accounting for something, that all of this had always been meant for you to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, to be able to bring you upon a mountain of sorts, a mountain of everlasting light, everlasting hope lost and discovered, to the faith that you hold in your heart chakra as you begin to open up your energetic field to the meaning of all of that. Just know that not everyone will agree with who you've become, as not all will agree with who and what they tend to seemingly assume for you to be. But within the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if your sister thinks you're annoyingly insane with this content that you've seemingly embarrassed her with by plopping out into the world, as her friends and family may know of who you are and may have been able to encounter, may or may not have been able to encounter your content out in the wild. It doesn't matter if your mother doesn't coherently come into an understanding of your mission and your belonging in this frequency field. It does not matter what your husband is struggling with at the end of the night when he goes to sleep with 2 feet anchored in the Luciferian realm, within the energetic field, within the playground that he's descended down into. All of that does not matter. What matters is your truth, ladies and gentlemen. And as I sit here in a relaxed manner, having this conversation with a portion of society that may not ever come to a realization of the depth of which I speak from, just know that for the portion of you who have annihilated their shadow, who have done the shadow work, who have come into a perspective, into a point of recognition within this frequency field of knowing, of believing, of seeing me for who I really am in this moment in time, this message had always been crafted from the angelic realm to be delivered into the earthly scope of things, for you to pick up, for you to recognize, and for you to come across, for you to not so much reject, as rejection within the self has forever archingly been what it is designed to be in this frequency realm. But more so for you to sink into, for you to analyze, for you to decipher for yourself what craziness really means, what craziness really is, what the crazy distortional field that society has been sitting in has been able to teach you and I to do, to deflect upon, to reflect upon, to voice our concerns in regards, and to sit in an energy of judgmentalism that we've been trained to see as normalcy. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to touch base on the meaning of judgmentalism in itself. As you and I both know far too well that we judge, people coherently judge, families judge, friends judge, strangers judge us. We judge strangers in our moment of weakness, in our moment of strength, in our moments where our ego won't allow for us to come into an understanding of what it means to be rejected. We judge. We try to annihilate the facts of the matter, that this mirror that is being held up to our face within the overarching scope of this reality field is reflecting back to us that in which we no longer wish to perceive to be true. And we try to justify in our standing of why or why not our perception field is the only correct perception field within this distortional field of pockets within layers of perception fields that we all sit within and without within this quantum burst. And in a moment in time when we allow our ego to take the front wheel, to take the only wheel, to take the driving wheel that we sit behind, that is when judgmentalism becomes a true reality field within you and I's distortional field at that. And since the moment you were born, as you may or may not be able to tell, since the moment you were born, you haven't stopped judging for a second, for a minute, for an eon. Within this eternity scope on Earth's surface, judgment had been crafted by the Luciferian regime to anchor us down so deeply within this distortional field to allow us to no longer be a part of the self of a source consciousness than it does allow us to be a part of the entirety of the whole of what is. And within any moment in time, within the scope of our consciousness, just know that this moment that you sit in the pocket of judgment that you feel so justified to sit in, to be in, to live in, to breathe in, to be within and without this reality field, trudging through this reality field to become, as it is you through and through, just know that this layer of judgment is set to dissipate over our planet Gaia. And as this false reality shield that has been anchored down, that had been anchored down by the Luciferian blueprint, begins to unlatch itself from that of the blueprint of Terra and essence of Gaia that anchors her so deeply down within the 3-dimensional, 2-dimensional, and 4-dimensional frequency, you will feel a weight being lifted off of your emotional shoulder. You will feel a weight being lifted off of your spiritual entanglements that you've created through these concepts of judgmentalism that you've been living through. You will feel so light, so airy in all that you've believed to be true up until this perspective in time. The entanglement that you've placed yourself within and without this reality field is a story to be told, has been a story to be told for generations of reincarnation cycles that seemingly never ever ends. And as I sit here to tell you the story, I must tell you that there's 20% left on my phone. I rejected to charge it in a proper way last night, so I will skim through. I will speed through as best as I can. I may stop the recording to save what I have due to the fact that my battery might die, and then I'll start up again once my phone is charged, but hopefully we can make it through this whole video. Judgmentalism in itself is a story to be told. It's not something that you sit in which you realize the congruent aspect of who and what it is, or what and who you are in the moment that you're sitting in this distortional field that's been anchored down so deeply into our oversoul at that, within this layer of this reality field. As you are a portion and an aspect of your oversoul that your oversoul has no control over due to the free will granted to it, to you, in the moment in time that you decided to drop down and plop down into this field. Yet you're a portion of your oversoul that your oversoul has monumental control over due to the fact of the free will within our quantum verse that decided so, that decidedly decided that you're able to even drop down into this frequency field with that aspect in yourself of the free will that had been granted to you once upon a time during the creation field of our creation story in itself. And as I sit and I explain these diversified concepts, within distortion fields, just know that you're still sitting in a frequency field of doubt. You're still sitting in a frequency field that has been anchored over our reality field for you to reject the concepts and the meanings that I speak of. And no matter how awakened you are still anchored down under this frequency field of doubt. Unless you've received your activations, unless you've done your shadow work, unless you've traveled your consciousness up until the very border of this quantum verse by expansion of your energetic body and above and beyond that. And only a certain percentage of light workers be able to access the realm above and beyond our quantum verse. As I've said so in my previous video, going into explanations as to why and how and where this concept of even being able to access the external placement of our quantum verse and where this decision even stemmed from to begin with. It stemmed from my consciousness within a part and a portion of a consciousness of the oversoul of the grand scheme of it all that resides outside our quantum verse as I drop down, not from a placement within this quantum verse, but from a placement outside of the source consciousness of the oversoul that fractaled out the entirety of the placement of the interior of our quantum verse. And as you skim past my content, skim through my videos, through the judgmentalism that you sit in, just know that this is completely normal. Just know that you have been forgiven. Just know that Source knows, and Source is forgiveness of no epic proportions, within all of the epic proportions that you can ever think to be true and recognize to be real. There are no distortion fields so wide and so broad that stems into a placement of no distortion fields of doubt lingering. And as you doubt, as I forgive, as the all sits in doubt, as they forever tranquilize the concept of forgiveness in their perception field within this quantum verse, just know that the concept of forgiveness will smack you back in the face, blue and gray, as it travels back down through this energetic chute that has been made, that had been anchored down once upon a time, a little over 2,000 years ago, over Yeshua's physicality of a field, over the Israeli lands, over the Palestinian grounds of our energetic frequency of what is. I sit and I touch on many topics based off of this one topic in this one distortional field of this video that you'll be able to tap into. And you will recognize this field that I represent to be a distortion field, as the field that you sit in had never ever not been able to not recognize any other field as but yours to be not of a distortion field, as our reality field was designed to do just that. To see from a specific perspective within our quantum verse, reflecting back to that of the self, of that in which in the other parts of the self, without and within these reflections of what is in multiplicities of shards of glass, of reflections, schemes that project itself out into the night of all nights, into the forest of all forests, into the consciousness of all. And as we project our little mirrors up to each other for us to discover an opposition of the self, for us to discover a tranquilized field across the pond from the self, for us to realize the growth that we need to step into within the forgiveness frequency of knots. Just know, just recognize that you do sit in a distortion field, and so do I, according to your perception. And the complexities within that are monumental in itself. And it's not as if I sit to confirm to you that I don't sit in judgment. It's not as if I speak to be prejudiced in regards to the judgment that you sit in. It's not any of what you perceive to be true or real within your deception field of how you perceive for my reactionary field to define the words that I say in this moment in time. And I know this is a little bit of a play on words, but as you open up your frequency field to understand into the understandment of what I represent, what the all within this energy field had always forever not been congruently whole in representation of, you will begin to come into an understanding. And this message isn't for everyone. As clear as it is, in the shadiness that you feel, in the blurriness that you hear, when I intermingle my words of activations onto each other, piled up against your consciousness, against your conscious mind, for the brainscape of things to decipher to be true or real. As shady as this may seem or sound, just know that the shadiness, the fogginess will clear one dawn morning, one clear intentions past, when the intent of all of this, based on a source consciousness level, prior to fractaling out into this reality field, a part and a portion of your consciousness to live in your feet and your shoes, had always been for the fog to be cleared once upon a time of no time, in a no tomorrow scape of today's day. And as we sit here in 2025, middle of November 12th to be exact, Toronto time, I would like to declare to you that the key to the retraction process of this quantum verse to retract itself back into the unity concept of no distortional fields, of a reality so true and so real and so non-distortional through the creational process of a process that we had to step into yet again prior to the creation of our quantum verse itself, before fractaling out into this creation span, has been activated. This key has been activated. This key will retract all of consciousness within this quantum verse back into one, back into wholeness, back into a placement of no judgments found, forever forgiveness intrinsically felt, and being. As being is what we've always been. And as that being that we've always been has always been so intrinsically whole upon the being that resides within us, without us, as a mirrored reflection of us, as within the shoes, within the feet of our counterpart that mirrors back all that we cease to want to believe and all that our ego has been triggered to reject within any moment in time. This retraction process has already started as of yesterday, November 11th, at the point of 11:11 a.m. Canada time. And as I sit here and as you sit in the judgmentalism of your perception field, judging the drug that I'm on, like, what is she on? Does she have schizophrenia? Does she have some type of mental issue? I'm here to tell you that that too will begin to fade into oblivion as when time passes and you take off these rose-colored glasses that you've been wearing for far too long. You will come into a realization of truths unfunded as you hear truths, as they drop on your lap, as the distortion fields between a non-comprehension of a distortion field and a comprehension within the unity of what is will begin to dissipate in your field. And the comprehension of it all, as you try to lather through, as you try to decipher through, as you try to dig through a big pile of shit to come into a realization of the gold within this pile of fleas, of flies, of fly shit, of whatever shit that you can come into contact with in this lifetime. Within the middle, the center perspective, the side perspective, the distorted perspective of the shit that you're sitting in, you will find a true diamond. And that diamond, ladies and gentlemen, that diamond had always and forever been that of the essence of Yeshua, of Yeshua's essence, that you no longer need to perceive to know that it is real, that you no longer need to dig through the shit to find a distortional field to reject into the realness of what it has forever always not been within your field. A diamond so bright so multifaceted within the way that it has been reflecting back to you your very own shadows this whole entire time as you've been trudging through Lucifer's lair, that shall forevermore be indestructible as it becomes activated, as it's become activated within Yeshua's field a little over 2,000 years ago. And as this diamond proceeds to fall deeper and deeper into the angelic realm of things, all the while distorting itself within the earth spectrum of things, as it begins to fall deeper and deeper into the Luciferian realm of this world, as Yeshua, mark my words, dug through the deepness of this reality field that he had created once upon a time alongside God's consciousness, as he is every ounce a part of God, as you and I are a part of this consciousness in itself. And as this diamond begins to trickle through all of the deception fields of what is, it will begin to mirror back to you a reality of truths unfunded, of inescapable truths that you will begin to download from the Akashic realm, from the Akashic records, on demand, on command, without even the realization that you're doing so in the middle of your sleep. And as we approach the late November, early December solar flash, just know that in your dreams, you will have lucid dreams. You will have creatures visit you from other dimensional frequencies. You will have the most wildest ride within this quantum verse where your soul will travel and traverse outside of your body to see, to feel, to know, to be within the essence of all that you've ever been. And as I pause this video to restart it again because my phone might just die, I need to save it. Just know that as you have these dreams in the middle of these nights, anchor into the truth that you see, as it will undoubtedly be truths unfunded. And as Yeshua, as the galactics, as the universe, the quantum verse, creation itself works to clear away the storm, to clear away the clouds, the sun will undoubtedly peep through in the form of this diamond that I speak through, that I speak about, that I speak to. As that diamond is you, it has always been you. It has been every single one of us through the roughness of it all, as we reject that of the ugly duckling that we've become to be true through and through. Through the roughness of it all, as we've walked through the footsteps of this ugly duckling who we think we are, but that has never been us. We've always been a multifaceted diamond shining upon ourselves from a multitude of different angles, of angular structures within the darkness of what is. And as Yeshua dropped this diamond so deep within this angelic field into the Luciferian realms of what is, just know that it's soon to spin in its integrity of all that it's ever been, to wash away the non-integrity of it all, to wash away the lies that have been anchored into this reality field for far too long, as it projects itself in mirrored format, mirroring itself onto this reality field for us to decipher whether or not any projection field within the mirroring of this field is true or real. And for us to dig through this shit hole that we've created for ourselves to find that diamond. We no longer have to do so, ladies and gentlemen. We no longer have to feel lost in all that we've ever been. We no longer have to decide whether or not our ego needs to protect us within any circumstance, within any circumstantial feat that makes sense or doesn't make sense in our field. We no longer have to do that. God is here, and God has granted us the freedom to be whole, with no justifications as to the judgment that we've lived through eons and eons of evolutionary contracts within the life scope of the reality scope, within the creation scope, within Gaia's field of what is, of no limitations as to where this non-judgmentalism can take us within any moment in time, of all times, within all fields, of all fields, in generality of the generosity of a source consciousness that had so eagerly broken off a piece of itself to drop into our field, to bury into the shithole for us to one day awaken to. But in the meantime, it had anchored in its power and its strength of reflexivity, to reflect itself upon that of each other in endless reflections of falsities within the self for us to discover to be true or untrue through the moments and the concept of the judgmentalism that our reality field had been built around, for us to experience the opposition of the self. Now, these concepts are steeped in distortional fields. They always have been. But as we uncover the truth that this diamond is real and this diamond even exists within this reality field, within the Luciferian realms of what is, just know that you will find yourself, you will encounter yourself, you will encounter this diamond as you've been sitting in the reflexivity of the reflection fields within this reality field of creation, within the darkness of what is. As much as you've been doing that, is at the moment that you can't control where you've landed. Because you never had control, ladies and gentlemen. You never allowed yourself this control. As you, according to your free will, had dropped down into this reality field to lose this control. But to be able to find it again in this lifetime is what you have been made to do. My light workers. Humanity in itself will come into a realization and the recognition of the steepness of it all. Humanity in itself will come into a lesson to be sunken into and to be learned by the end of any and all lifetimes in this generation field. And I'm here excitedly to declare to you that the time is here and the time is now, and the time of activation has begun. It has already triggered in an essence of the spinning of these reflective fields to spin a little bit faster within these distortion fields, to filter a little bit smoother within your distortion fields, to see a little bit clearer within the reflective fields that you sit in, and to recognize a reflection for what it is, to bring out the truths and the densities within your very heart chakra to be cleared so that you can see crystal clear where this diamond had always been, where this diamond lies within your heart chakra. As every single reflective field represents that in which forms a connection between you and God, you and source consciousness within itself. And as you've relied so much with the concept of the recognition within the brain scope of things, to come into an understanding of where you sit within any moment in time as you judge away at another person's reflective field that is holding up a mirror within a distortion field to show you that in which you must release of. Just know that by the end of this journey, by the end of this journal that I sit not to write but to speak to an entire humanity that's been so lost in the essence of these reincarnation cycles that never ever end, just know that the end is near. To the start, to the beginning of a new tomorrow, where Source has decided to come in to tranquilize this frequency of this diamond unfunded, to become a place of wholeness found once more as we retract ourselves back into this reality field that we come from. Exciting times are ahead for all of humanity, and especially so for the light workers that I speak to, that I speak of, the ones who are capable of holding this frequency in their energy bodies, interlinking between the darkness within the angelic fields of the Luciferian realm of what is, and the darkness within source consciousness of the brightest brightness that you can ever fathom to be true within the neutrality consciousness of what is, within the neutrality concepts of what is. And I say there's darkness in light, and I say there's brightness in dark, as the intermingling truths can never be unfunded to be untrue. And this may confuse you in times of distortional fields where you try to sit and make it through to a point in an aspect within my video where you can make sense of the words that I speak, as my words aren't typical words of coherence or recognition within any field. And as you use your mental mind to be able to decipher if my words are true or untrue, as you use your judgmentalism that's been built into your energy body to be able to judge me into a coherence of non-existency, just know that this judgment will begin to deteriorate as soon as you wake up in the morning after you allow the source frequency into your heart chakra, the morning after you come into a recognition of that in which you are. You've always been a diamond in the rough. My light workers, my fellow humanity. That has always been who you've always been. And as you sit, say if you're my family, say if you're my friend, say if you are a stranger on the street, judging away, watching my video, just know that that is not who you've always been. That is not who you are in this moment in time and in any moment in time. And just as you're sitting in this distortion field of judgment, judging away, I'm sitting in my own field of realization, of non-judgmentalism as I see the whole picture. I am the whole picture. And you will be the whole picture once you're able to tap into the multidimensionality of your soul, of your soul's belonging, of your soul's being, of the tranquilization within the darkness of what is within your reality field that will bring you through restless nights of coherence as source begins to reach out its olive branch into your heart chakra, into the expansive process of the expansion of your oversoul to allow it to come through and teach you these lessons of coherence as it clears so comprehensively these rose-colored glasses that you've been wearing for far too long, to sit you so steeply and anchor you so wholly into the concepts of non-judgmentalism. We are heading there as a whole entire society field. Exciting times are ahead. But before you judge, just know that you also sit in a placement where I can choose to judge. Just know that the wholesomeness that you perceive for yourself to be had never been so wholesome to begin with, had never been that in which has justified the way that you've behaved or treated another person as such. And as you're judging, just know that this mirror that it is a mirror that's being held up to your accountability upon your consciousness of where you need to be, of where you currently stand. 2 feet in the ground in the Luciferian realm of Lucifer's backyard that is now located in God's front yard. 2 feet on the ground of the judgmentalism that the Luciferian clan has created once upon a time within the elitist system that we reside in to keep you in your distortion fields, within these concepts of wholeness that you will come across within the next few years in Earth time. Just know that as you judge away, I have my whole entire physical body, my 2 feet, my heart chakra, every single chakra in my energy body anchored down so deeply on God's land, sitting in the honor of what is. And you might say, Genesis, it's an impossibility to be so honorable and exist within this frequency field, within the Luciferian playground of God's land. How is it so that you can declare this to us in this moment in time? How dare she? Who does she think she is? But I speak truths that can never be understood in moments of time as long as you sit in the distortion field with even just 1 foot, a tail, a toe, a finger, tucked into the backyard of Lucifer's playground, dipped into this energetic field that you draw from within the judgmentalism of it all. And if you sit and if you've made it this far without one judgment, if you've made it this far in cohesiveness with the integrity in your soul to truly, really understand the concepts that I speak of, congratulations, as you are a light worker. You are the light worker that I spoke of in my previous video and in my videos to come. You are the audience that I speak to. And as you awaken to your field, just know that you're not crazy, that others like you, as others like me, have decided to drop down into singularities of different physical bodies holding the same type of energy fields as we trudge upon this reality field. And as you come into your memories, just know that not everyone will begin to trigger in the very same memories that you and I hold. As the type of light worker that I speak to, that I am the leader of within this contingency field of the light that's split in multiplexities of fractals, all the while fractaling into multiplexities of bodies within the wholeness of the allness of the leadership that we all sit in. will be delivered to those who remember, will be delivered to those who can come into recognition of their light bodies within their free will in this lifetime. And even if you didn't, and even if you don't, and even if you reject that in which is coming towards you, that's also okay. You have free will. Creation was created never to stifle the concept of free will in your energy body. And even though we come here as a part of our oversoul to fractal out into these multiplexities of confusion schemes within these physical bodies to wake up in our very own distortion fields, each and every one of us, just know that we will find each other. Just know that you will find this video. Just know that you might reject this video. Just know that you might not cohesively understand this video. But near the end of times that leads to a new tomorrow, you will indefinitely want to rewatch this video, as you will come across it once again, as the answers are in plain sight if you haven't been able to download it into your heart chakra, into your crown chakra, into your sky chakra, into the angelic field that funnels these chakras down into your energy body as you are this light worker that I speak of, the type that can hold angelic energy while standing and shifting in your physical body on Gaia's surface. Just know that you will be guided, you will be led back into my field, within all fields of Yeshua's field, of your field, of our fields, of that in which we belong to. And even as I sit here to speak of the leadership role that I've taken on, I just want to let you know that we all come from the same source. We all come from the same leadership energy. We all hold precedence over our energy body. We all hold this responsibility as to what we decided to do once upon a time as we fractaled out into different energy bodies holding the same energy frequency of the same energy capacity that we are. And even though your oversoul stems from that of an energy field within this quantum realm, and mine stems from that of the energy field without this quantum realm, above and beyond the very layer that protects our quantum field from all that is without us on the external side of the angelic realm, above and beyond where we sit within this quantum field. Just know that your oversoul fractaled from my oversoul, and we are one. And you will be allowed back into the space of oneness while you're sitting here in this physical body. So don't ever come to the conclusion that you're going crazy. Don't ever fall into the deception of the field of judgmentalism of the self. Always remember to fall back on the faith that you have as you will come across this video. To make it this far into this video, to come to the conclusive feat that I'm insane or not insane, or of the insanity that I am, but I don't speak to the ones that feel this distortional field is insane. I speak to the ones that know that this distortional field is in existence and in alignment with where they sit. So ladies and gentlemen, as I wrap up this video, as there might not be much battery left in my phone, I would like to wish you a good night, a good morning, a good evening, wherever you are. And within the light working scope of things, your mission may not coherently and congruently align with mine, and that's also okay. Each and every one of you makes up an aspect and a portion of the whole, and the ones that I speak of make up the aspect and the portion of the light energy that stems from the angelic realm, acting as these realms of light coherently in itself, within the attachment of the anchorage of this energy that had been the deliverance of the energy that Yeshua had anchored down into Earth's frequency a little over 2,000 years ago. And within this light of this attachment that I speak of sits many, many, many light workers that may or may not be you as a light worker. As the field of light workers spans across a multitude of different meanings, but the ones that I speak to in this moment in time are the ones who have the capacity to hold the physicality of this angelic realm over our heads while we sit within the earth scope and the earthscape of our reality field that we've anchored down under and into in the physicality of what is in this moment in time. So ladies and gentlemen, as you tuck yourself to bed Tonight, just come to a realization of the judgmentalism that you sit in. Even though you don't resonate with my message, you've made it this far, and that's something to be content with. That's something not to question within your reality field of truths unfunded. That's something within the lesson scope of the lesson scape of all of the lessons that were ever meant to be delivered into your field, to know to be true and to feel to be real, as something in your soul drew you to this video and anchored you down into your seat of knowledge, of curiosity, of wanting to know, of believing, of not wanting to believe, of wanting to analyze within the scope of the analysis process that the Luciferian regimes have anchored down into our soul's belonging, to trap us in this frequency of the two-dimensional, three-dimensional, and four-dimensional frequency of what is. And as your consciousness is even a little bit curious tonight, in your sleep, tomorrow in your sleep, and in every single sleep moving forward, anchor into that curiosity and find that truth that comes from within, as that diamond is you and has always been you, as you've always been a portion and an aspect of the reflective mechanism that Yeshua had dropped down into this frequency field a little over 2,000 years ago, as we reflect back and forth onto each other, the aspect of the brokenness that we've become. To come together as a whole at the end of this reality field and retract our consciousness back to the one that we've always been, has always been the plan, the great scheme and the plan of things. Good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and I hope you stick around for subsequent videos. Educational videos, doubtful videos, videos of coherence as you come into a realization of that in which you will forever and always be, which is an aspect of the whole that is never endingly true and real within the self. Goodbye for now.